So for the next race, we had Team Europe versus Team North America. What did you think about this one?
Okay, so I knew this was gonna be so I have different like viewpoints on it. So initially I'm thinking like, damn, okay, so I know like our team we just raced Team Europe, right?
Yeah,
Like the week prior. And we barely beat them by 4 points.
yeah,
And this is without Maxi. So I'm like, damn, like, is Maxi gonna play? Because honestly, if Maxi plays against NA, I feel like they kind of screwed.
yeah,
But I knew there was a chance that Maxi wouldn't play, and I knew that when we faced NA, we beat them by 30 plus points. Now, granted, that was week one, and I think now NA would be much more prepared for a Titan level team.
yeah,
So, due to the fact that I knew that there was a chance that Maxi wouldn't run against NA, and the fact that I feel like they have sharpened up some uh, corners that they had, uh, that NA had, I was, I still felt like Europe would end up taking the W, but I feel like NA had a good chance of getting the W as well, especially given the fact that that match would depend on what side of the bracket NA and Europe are when it comes to um the knockout round. So
yeah,
if Europe wins, they they have to go against Benelux down the line. If NA wins, they we have to go against Europe down the line. So technically, that would actually make it'll make our run harder if NA won. But you know, uh, Europe ended up persevering, man, even
honestly,
without Mexi. But it
I
was close though. It was close.
when I was watching this one, I was on edge, just like I was on edge with Benelux and USA, because these were the tightest races for the last week of the group stages. And knowing what I knew with NA trying to place or to qualify, and UK coming into this and trying to get that last spot, it kind of already didn't matter because of the results from the previous week. But I was saying to myself, well, shoot, even if we already know who qualified from Group A, what if for whatever reason NA beats Europe?
Mm,
Because
yeah,
if I'm
that'd have
not
been something.
if I'm not mistaken, because I was looking at it like this, the two outcomes could have happened. Europe has only lost, I believe, at this point once. You
Nah, they lost. They lost twice. They lost the USA and they lost the Benelux.
okay? So Europe has lost twice, and they at this time has lost twice as well. And I'm thinking, based on point differential, if for whatever reason it came down to these two racing, I think that because Europe had high point differential from the beginning of this tournament, if for whatever reason Europe was able to get the win over North America, And had they won their race against you guys last week, I think Europe would have bounced back to the top spot. But now that we're in this week already, and I know that Europe already lost to you guys, the only thing on my mind was okay, Europe and NA are both at 2. NA needs this win if they want to move up to 3, which means next week going into the knockout stages, they face uh team number 2, which would be France, which I think
Hmm.
would have been a way more favorable match for them, seeing how that's the 2 seed
Yep.
versus playing against the 1 seed.
Hmm. Makes
Because
sense.
not gonna lie, I'm kind of biased just because I met a lot of people from North America and United States before I met everyone else. Because we did it, I did join into KH fans stream with Nano that one time. So I had the
Yep.
chance to meet a couple of racers in the World Cup from NA and United States before we even got racing in the World Cup. So because of that, I was able to make some cool friends along the way, and I've just been biased since. North America got to stick together. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
man.
apart from that, man, they really could have pulled this one through, even though Maxi wasn't playing. Like
Yep.
throughout this World Cup, I want to say NA has been like a question mark for me, only because
Hmm.
every time they lose, they don't lose by much, apart from when you guys race them. And
Yeah.
I'm always
Wait, that's
one,
actually true. Every
yeah,
time, every team if a team beat them, it was not by that much, honestly.
not at all. So I knew they were always doing good on point differential. So my thing was,
Hmm.
ever since you guys beat them, my thing was, okay, if NA could somehow find a way to beat every other team, then that would at least put them in second place for their group, or maybe even first, because they got a favorable point differential because they don't lose by that many points.
Hmm.
So every time they've lost a close match, I keep trying to think, well, man, this was so close. They could have won. What was the deciding factor of each race that made them lose? Because I know when they were racing, who was it? I I'm trying to think of which team it was. I believe it was the time when Skyliner was playing. There,
Hmm.
I think it was Benelux at the time when they were racing against Benelux, and they had that bad route. You know, we talked about KH fan being on defender and not pulling through enough to get enough points on defender, but he played solid nonetheless.
Yep.
So then, okay, maybe they weren't being optimal in terms of who is racing on what class. And now that we're getting towards the end, and you kind of need to know, okay, our strongest racers got to be on specific classes to give us a better opportunity of winning. What is still the problem that's holding this team back from getting over the hump against you guys out in Group A?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because and they got some strong racers.
Yeah,
I so this one they had Falcon on Brawlers because they usually always have Falcon on
yeah.
Brawlers.
Falcons a strong
I
brawler.
believe they had Sonic on Speedsters, and they had um Toxic on Tricksters, and they had KH on Defenders because that's usually have. So usually what they would do is they would have KH on Defenders, either that or Ishnik on Defenders. So usually KH and Ishnik would
With
swap
swap.
between. Mhm. I know in our race they had Ishnik and KH. Sonic didn't play. Yeah, group in week 2 they played Benelux in week 2,
Okay.
and I believe wasn't that one pretty close?
Yeah, it was.
And I think that's when they had Sonic as their speedster. I don't remember who was the defender. I don't remember if it was Ishnik or if it was KH. The UK one, that was when Skyliner ended up playing, I believe.
Yeah.
That was when they fought UK, and they ended up beating UK.
Yes, they did by 8 points.
Yeah, that one was close.
Yeah, so every loss that they took was a close loss besides the loss they took against you guys.
hmm I guess maybe you could chalk it up to, them maybe not being as prepared as we were in the first week.
Yeah, I could say
But
that. But I mean, they've kept it close for the most part throughout the entire World Cup. It's almost like they
hmm
were missing one piece every time they lost to another strong team.
yeah, that's what it feels like sometimes. That's whenever you go see, here's the thing, bro. When you go against certain teams, man, you could you gotta like have everybody like
Locked in.
performing.
Yeah.
So like if you have like one person not performing, it could like throw off the balance. Um in terms of against Europe, I believe I don't have shoot, I wish I would have got the wrote down the points, man. I'm kind of mad that I didn't like take the points down. But if I remember correctly, I remember uh thing KH was on Defender this week. And I remember me and my team watching it, and I think there were a couple picks that I kind of like questioned
Yeah.
that KH picked. At least I questioned them on the maps that
Yeah.
they were being chose. And I actually think that actually affected the performance.
So you think ultimately the reason why they could have came short against the teams that they were close to either tying it up or beating is because maybe they weren't making the most optimal choices with their picks?
I think that's a big factor.
Okay. Because like we said, we also have the evidence here in front of us showing that every time they've lost, it's always been by uh 7 or maybe 8 points. Or not
hmm
or 6, sorry, 6 or 8 points. And then the times they've won, they've blown teams out.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy? I never told you this before, but whenever like I watch all of the races,
Yeah.
so I'm extremely vigilant, especially when it comes to teams in my group. And I feel like when it came to like NA, sometimes I would like question certain picks that are being made.
Okay.
And sometimes, at least when it comes to like the really strong teams,
Yeah.
I think when I question the pick, usually and they kind of fall short in that specific map on, you know,
For those
that I question.
for those picks that you questioned though, is it due to them not having enough pool of racers to use because of the bans?
Nope, nope. I don't think so. I don't
Uh,
think so at
so
all.
maybe they
I
were
just think
on maybe they weren't prepared enough for that track specifically.
I won't even say not prepared enough for the track, but maybe they kind of haven't really checked out all of the potential options and the swaps they can
Mm,
make and
okay.
using, making a character, putting characters on more optimal maps
Yeah.
to make the most out of the totality of the picks.
Okay, I get what you're saying here.
hmm Because I guess for an example, I don't remember if this was against Europe, but I do remember one time I watched NA and I saw KH use Genie or okay, so this is a perfect example. It's funny because I was thinking about it in another scenario, but I could actually use it in the Europe example.
Okay.
But I was watching KH's stream, or so whenever NA races, I I never, or if KH is in the match, I will always go to KH's stream and watch from his perspective because I
Yeah.
want to hear the comms and the type of communication they do.
Same way you said
And
you watch Canada, you go to Crush's stream.
yeah, yeah, I gotta get my little intel, man. But yeah, on Great Wall 2, KH picked Genie, and I found that pretty odd because yeah, you can make Genie work on Great Wall 2,
Yeah.
but I feel like a character like Genie would dominate on other maps more than a Great Wall. So like for example, if I use, let's say, we all know there were a bunch of top speed maps, right?
Yep. Jungle
You
Ruins,
can use Genie is one of those almost jack of all trade
Trace.
picks where
Yep.
he will almost guarantee you points as long as it's not on like a super crazy handling map.
Yeah.
Now, Great Wall 2 isn't super crazy handling because it has some
Uh,
straightaways, right?
yeah.
But it still has some handling.
That
Like it has enough handling
handling that you
parts to
could
where
throw Genie off.
you yeah, like you could have really use the Genie pick in a more optimal location and maybe place the character there that would have took at least more advantage of that map. Because the thing about Genie is you want Genie to thrive on maps where like he could really take control of his arsenal in totality and what he brings to the table.
Almost definitely.
Using him on a Great Wall 2, it like lessens it like closes the gap between how strong Genie is compared to the rest of the cast,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like almost evening the playing field, if that makes sense.
Do you think had he probably saved Genie for something like Jungle Ruins and maybe, I don't know, pulled up, let's say, a Shang on Great Wall 2, it would have been better in his races?
Shit, I wouldn't have even used Shang on that map either.
No,
But
but I'm just
I'm
saying
not
in
gonna,
terms of
I'm
like
not gonna,
handling.
I'm not. In terms of handling, I still
Yeah.
wouldn't use Shang on
No,
that map.
I'm
I
just
would
giving
have
an example. I'm
chosen
just
a.
saying like if you needed a character with some more handling, like for instance Shang,
Okay, there
and
are
there was a lot of top
there.
speed heavy tracks, and if you have a track that you're probably not the most comfortable with, and Genie's solid everywhere is top speed, you can use Genie there. That's what I'm asking.
So there is okay, so for your example,
Yeah.
yes, I would have preferred a Shane pick over the Genie pick.
Okay.
But Shane kind of has the Genie factor. Obviously, I think Genie's a stronger character, but
Of
Shane
course.
has the factor of like he kind of promises a top position.
Yep.
Like when you use Shane, usually you're comfortable in the match and other people feel more pressured around you as you are to them.
Yep.
That's kind of how Genie feels. Um there are I already have picks in my head that I feel like would have been more optimal on that map.
Mhm.
And I felt like had maybe they used another pick other than Genie on that map, it could have went a little bit better. Because if I'm correct, I think KH ended up getting like last place on something or either seventh or eighth place on Great
Damn.
Wall 2 with the Genie, and you can't afford.
Yeah. With a defender class being so low.
Yes, and it's not even that, it's a Genie pick. So
Yep.
that means a character that is supposed to promise points got the least amount of points.
Yeah.
And I think stuff like that played a big factor in, because the point differential wasn't that big.
No, it wasn't. So you're saying if KH could take that pit back, that might have been the race to probably put them over the edge.
It definitely could have, because Falcon actually ended up getting first place on that map.
Yeah.
And I believe the team actually performed pretty decent, but I do think uh, the defender being so low on that specific part was a big detriment to the team.
Oh damn. Because like I was saying, my picks for the weeks that NA was playing, definitely and I was picking NA over everyone else, just as biased as I am. But like I explained earlier, just because I had made some great friends along the way before the tournament started. So
Hmm.
it's tough to see them take L's like that. But they did, however, still make the knockout stage, which I was happy for.
They did. They did.
But in terms of the results for this one, this was a close one, like I stated earlier. The score was 147 to 141 in favor of Europe. So 2 weeks in a row without Maxi, Europe is able to keep games close, especially
Hmm.
against NA and still get the edge over NA, but close against USA and not be able to get the edge over USA. So
Yeah,
I
man.
think. So let me ask you something. Do you think
Hmm.
Europe is either saving Maxi at this point, going into the knockout stages, or probably saying, you know what, we want to run different rosters and test how deep our roster is compared to some strong teams?
It's a possibility of all of the above. Like I said, after we raced Europe, Caleb asked Maxi and one of the chats of a World Cup race that was going on. He was like, "Yo, like, oh, I wanted to race you, Maxi. What happened?" And Maxi said, he wasn't currently playing Speedstorm at the time, and his team already qualified. So I guess he didn't feel as pressed to, kind of play for the team. He's
Yeah,
like, "Yo, like we already made it to where we needed to make it to. When like the important matches come,
then I'll play.
I'm put on the gear."
Do
So
you think that's gonna hurt Europe in the knockout stages?
it's a big possibility, and like I said, I will kind of talk about it in a week's time.
Okay.
I will talk about it at, the next time we record.
So you guys are gonna be waiting for a bit before we get to that piece.
Hmm. Yeah, because I actually it depending on what happens between Europe uh in week 2
Yeah.
of of the knockout round, it will highly depend on what happened or what I have to say in regards to what you just asked me.
Okay. So we'll hold off on that question for now, and we'll revisit that in week 2 for the knockout stages. But in terms of the next race, we got race 5. We had United Kingdom versus Peru. Man, I mean, we already know who qualified, so I guess this race was really a race of no importance. But it was still a race that you could still go out there and have some fun and put on for your country.
Hmm.
Like I just stated a couple seconds ago, because this race was of no importance, it didn't really affect the standing or the overall standing going into the knockout stages. So there's not really much to say here, unfortunately, because leading up to this week, Peru had failed to even get a single win, as well as United Kingdom failing to get at least another win to put some pressure on North America, which ultimately resulted in a game with really no consequence.
Hmm.
However, in terms of the performance here, we did see United Kingdom edge out Peru. So it looks like the teams that were,
Was it really an edge out?
I mean, what I was going to say, it looked like the teams that had no wins going into this race finally figured out who was at least not the worst team in the group for Group A.
Yeah, man. Shoot. Not to mention, I don't know if you recall, but for the first two matches, Peru only raced with three people.
Yep.
And it's like, damn, even in the last race, man, the Peru's still Peruing, man.
Man, those Peruvians.
Yeah, but I don't really know what goes on for them, so I can't really say too much.
Yeah.
That's between Peru and their team. Um, I didn't see Alexander in this race,
Mm.
so I don't know what's going on with Alexander.
Alexander and Peru, because that's back to back races where there's no Alexander.
Yeah, but I since it's the last race, Peru, like I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like UK looked like how UK was supposed to look like against Peru. Like
Yep.
they dominated Peru, bro. And it's it even was to a point to where after the first race when there was only three people, one of the people on the team said, "Yo, uh." One of the people on Team UK was like, "Yo, let's we're already out. This is the last race. This is the last time we're all gonna be racing. Let's even the playing field." And they actually took one of their racers out, and at least for the second race, it was a 3v3.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty nice. I thought that was pretty nice.
That is nice. That's
Um,
a show of
yeah,
sportsmanship.
yeah, sportsmanship, character, and whatnot. Um, and yeah, man, it's after that, Peru's fourth man came back and they
Yeah.
commenced the 4v4. But I mean, UK basically cleaned up Peru, bro. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, man. If it felt like Peru was like
They didn't care at this point.
I don't want to say they didn't care, but Peru made a lot of questionable stuff, man. Because I believe in like 2 or 3 weeks, there were times when they only had three people,
Yep.
and then
That's
when
too
they
many
raced
times that they
us,
happen.
yeah, when they raced against us, Team USA, there were like multiple times where they went over the character limit, granting them like the least amount of points. And it's like, yo, what's going on? Because Angel's talking in Spanish, so it's not like
Yeah,
they can't understand it, or like I don't know if they didn't understand the rules or something, but
that's crazy,
I
man.
don't know, man. Like was the communication. I'm pretty sure they communicate with each other, so I don't really. Peru has been like a really big question mark to me because
Honestly,
it's like so much stuff
going
was
on with
going
this team.
on to where you wouldn't really understand why. And the crazy thing is, it's not like the racers on the team are bad.
Yeah,
So I know Slifer was the captain, and I do know that Slifer is kind of on the younger side in terms of age,
yeah,
so that could play a part.
could be.
So I don't know, man.
Well, the final score from this one was 178-109. If I
Mhm.
had anything to add apart from this race, I would have so loved to see maybe Peru go against Spain.
Oh yeah,
I,
that would have been something to watch.
definitely, I think Peru would have showed out for that, and I think we would have got a nice race for both of these teams finally looking very competitive.
Mhm.
I think that
Yep,
would have been an interesting one to watch for sure.
I agree. I agree.
But for the last and final race of the week, we had Brazil versus Spain. So a bit of the same. Only difference is Spain was already mathematically disqualified from even qualifying
Hmm.
for the knockout rounds. And then Brazil was really just, I guess, they came to play, but they really knew that they were gonna get the win regardless. And maybe they were gonna use this race to probably either experiment or build a lead on their gap towards the team who was in second place, which was France.
Yep.
So, I mean, the score was 198-90. This one wasn't a contest at all. Um, Brazil really showed that they were the when this tournament started off, before week one even commenced, we had everybody had France as the number one team in Group B. Even I had France above
Hmm.
my team. Yes, I'm finally letting it know. I had France above my own team. I could be biased, but I'm logical at the same time. Okay, so as much as I love my country and as much as I love my team, I'm not gonna sit here and sound like a fool in front of you guys and say, "Nah, Canada's the best team." Period, because that's not the case. As we see the results now, however, from the beginning of this tournament, a lot of people said it was France. So Canada, Brazil, Belgium, we were really the underdogs of this group. And it so happened that I guess Brazil really had a fire lit under them because I guess they wanted their name to be up there with France. And it showed when they raced France. They were the more dominant team. They beat them in a dominant fashion. When Brazil faced us, and we were undefeated as well, they beat us in a convincing manner as well and in a dominant fashion. Brazil let it be known that no, you guys had it wrong. We were the best of this group, and rightfully so, because every team that they played, they won by more than 20 or more points. So
Yeah.
my hat, I tip my hat to these guys down in the South in Brazil because they really put on a show for us in Group B and for the rest of us who are watching the World Cup. And I can't wait to see what's in store for this team in the future because I believe we might have stated this probably maybe off recording. I can't remember, or maybe in recording, but Brazil is a huge team. You play Disney Speedstorm, you play ranked, you'll run into a lot of Brazilian players, and not everyone that you run into is actually on this World Cup team. So in terms of another World Cup, I don't know if they're gonna do like an inner team tournament like uh United States did and come up with like the strongest possible team, or if they've done that already. But kind of excited to see where this team goes in the future.
Hmm. Yeah, man. I always see them storm Brazilian players on right, man, all
Yep.
the time. It is crazy because that crew extends far further like out of the World Cup. Like
Yeah, man.
they have people in their crew that isn't even a part of Team Brazil on the World Cup,
That's what I
which
was
is pretty
saying.
interesting.
It's like Brazil's racing every platform possible. They're in the World Cup. They're in the casual regulated mode. They're in the team mode. They're in the solo mode. They're everywhere.
It seems like one of every five races, I'm always running into some type of storm PR
Yeah, man.
player.
It's almost like maybe they got the most players in the game at this point.
Nah, but I think that it speaks a lot of their team because it's like saying they have such like their crew. It's almost like they've all been playing with each other, and they probably even play with each other outside of Speedstorm.
Oh,
So it
most
kind of would like
definitely.
show why their chemistry
It's
and
so
teamwork is so good.
exactly. Yeah, man. I'm excited about this team for sure. And
Hmm.
like I said, some of these teams I've lost to already, and I definitely want my lick back in the future. So Brazil, Belgium, France. I'm telling you this right now. I'm gonna get mine. I'm coming.
Hey man, hey man. I'm pretty sure they're looking forward to it, man.
And Reach, if you want some of this pie too, you can tag along because I know you want this lick back too. I know you're looking for France. I know you want that.
Yeah, man. Fucking Halo Reach out for vengeance, man.
Yeah, but do you have any other thoughts you wanted to add to this race?
I mean, honestly, it was Brazil versus Spain. There's not really that much else to add to it. I mean, Brazil showed their dominance like we all expected. Um, Spain, I will say Spain might have not performed best, but at least it felt like they were trying.
Yep.
It's if I felt like Spain and Peru might have like had like the least favorable like performances out of their respective groups,
Yeah.
but I feel differently with Peru than Spain because Spain, Peru was doing like a lot of questionable things,
Mm-hmm.
but Spain, they did have a week where they only had three people, but other than that,
They were always there.
it felt like and it felt like they, for the most part, they understood what was going on and
Exactly.
stuff like that. So
We definitely
yeah,
hope to see them back.
yeah, like I definitely plan on playing with Starmondo after the World Cup. I wanna, help the homie get better and stuff. And it's I feel like Starmondo and players like Dex Control and stuff, they have a lot of potential. Like I
Yeah.
I
They
can
got a lot of raw
see
talent,
growth.
man. I
Hmm.
could tell because I raced against them. And even
Yep.
though we stopped them as well, it was always Starmondo and Dex Control that was keeping up with us. Like
Hmm.
I always had to watch my back and I was always worried because man, Dex Control's to my left or Starmondo's pushing my back. So I knew one of those two was always gonna be coming for me. And just knowing that had me on edge most of the time because they were applying pressure. And
Yep.
for the most part, they were solid racers because in some races, Starmondo was like right there behind the pack. Dex control early on in some of the races was holding a top three spot. So
Yep.
they're definitely those two a 1-2 punch if they're able to get together and hone in on their skills. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them race again for sure.
Actually, recently I was actually watching Starmondo's stream, and he was hosting a private lobby, and him and some of the homies were just racing, and I was thinking about joining it like randomly,
Yeah.
but I was like kind of tired, so I didn't. But I definitely want to have run some private lobby races with him. Like I said, after the World Cup, I'm starting up my private lobby shenanigans again. So y'all better, if y'all want to get better and race some top level talent, you know, y'all know where the action's at.
Yeah, man. Well, guys, that's all we have for you for the final week of the group stages. Tune in to the following video that would be after this, which will finally start our next series of videos going into the knockout stages or the knockout rounds. And both your boys, Sammy and Nano, are in the knockout stages. So you get to catch up with us on our races. But
Hmm.
apart from that, you have anything you want to add, Nano?
Hey man, it's always fun recording these World Cup segments with you, Mr. Sammy. I
Yes,
love talking
sir.
competitive Speedstorm and all things Speedstorm. So, I hope we've been giving the people what they want in terms of a competitive avenue, in terms of, just insight on our viewpoints of the matches and whatnot. And, we're gonna keep continuing putting on good work for you guys, man. So definitely stay tuned. You know, it's getting spicy, man. We're in that part of the tournament, man. So
Yep.
got some great matches ahead.
The Elite
So,
Eight.
yeah, man. So it's definitely I definitely gonna want to tune in for the next set of episodes.
Yes, sir. And I'd like to
Hmm.
piggyback off of what Nano said. Like he said, it's always a good time working with him. We have a good time. We laugh together. We joke together. So, you know, we have good chemistry since, coming together and making these videos together. So, like, literally, I have no problem if Nano says, "Hey, man, can you hop in my stream and we do some?" Got no issues with that because I already know it's gonna be a good time. Same way if I asked, "Hey, man, I'm gonna record something. You want to hop in?" And I know it's gonna be a good video just because the way we are with each other, we just make good content, and you guys see it because
Of
that's why you
course,
guys are
man. Of
here.
course.
And if that wasn't the
Hmm?
case, we wouldn't have made it to 100 subscribers. So definitely
Yes,
got to give
sir.
it to my guy here, Nano. And
Hey, man. I appreciate it, man.
most definitely, you guys better be watching his streams, man. Cause come on, man, he's the co-host. He's pretty much on this channel like every other day now. So got to show him some love. And
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure, man.
after the World Cup, you know, we might have a little video and we'll talk about future plans and endeavors that we might have coming to YouTube. So stay tuned for
Hmm.
that for sure. But yeah, I'd like to thank each and every one of you showing up again for the World Cup recaps this week. Like Nano said, we got some knockout stages coming up and we got some recaps for those too. So stay tuned. But yeah, thank everyone for coming out and supporting us. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Thanks for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you at the next one.